So this Saturday, the 20th, is when we're going to do our ship show for all of the steel ships in the game. So if you guys have never been here for one of our episodes of Ship Show, I would encourage you to come and join us for our steel ship rundown. This is our podcast style format where we chat and talk about every single steel ship that you can get in World of Warships. And if you'd like to join us, obviously, I would love to have you here. It would be an absolute blast to have you guys join us. This is a very interactive conversation. And if you've ever seen one of these on YouTube or on Twitch before, this is another one of those. So come out and join us at our normal stream time. It starts for me at 0900 Pacific time here on the west coast of these United States. And I think that's like 5 or 6 p.m. at night in Europe. Okay, and with that, I'm going to turn that off and we are going to go do the news. Let's get to it. Hello everyone and welcome to Clyde Plays News. My name is Clyde, this is the news, and today we're going to talk about what's going on in the world of Warships. Now, this is all information that you could get open source on the internet from the development blog. I can't say words, but of course, why read the internet when someone like me will read the internet to you? Our top story, of course, is about some brand new ships that you can see right over hither. But first, let's go and talk about this story. Asymmetric battles, new ranked battles, technical improvements, and all kinds of other stuff. First of all, asymmetric battles. Many of you have probably been around long enough that you've played various versions of asymmetric battles. Sometimes it's player versus player. In this case, it's going to be player or PvE, player versus enemy, basically. Now, you'll be able to choose ships of tier 9 and 10 in teams of 6 players. You'll be going against 12 tier 7 and 8 bots. These bots are a little bit more advanced than bots that you've played in the past, and so they've got some enhanced collision avoidance and other things. So it'll be really interesting to see how these bots play against our human players. Now, looking at ranked battles in update 12.5, the 12th season of ranked battles is going to begin. You'll be able to use all types of ships. So to me, that means aircraft carriers, submarines, cruisers, destroyers, battleships, and it'll be a 6v6 format with tier 10 ships. It says here in the 12th season, this rule for saving a star in case of defeat is the same for all leagues. The star will be saved only by the top guy, the top player on the team, by experience points earned. Starting with update 12.5, ranked battles will support a restriction system for different ships and ship types. I found this rather interesting, similar to brawls and clan battles. With this system in place, they'll be able to introduce and change restrictions during the course of the season. So just like when we have clan battles and they go, you know what, after 3 weeks, we feel like this ship combination is too powerful, and they restrict those ships, they're going to be introducing that into ranked, and I'm really curious to see what Wargaming is going to do there. Very, very, very interesting stuff. Snow Mongoose wants to know when the bottom player of the winning team will lose a star. It's actually a really interesting suggestion. Wargaming, please take note. Technical improvements. Now, this is something that should be familiar to players who have played World of Tanks. At the end of a battle, the transition to the post-battle statistics screen is now going to be a little bit smoother. This will address the inconvenience, Wargaming's word, of battles ending too abruptly, which can interrupt exciting engagements. At the end of World of Tanks, what happens is the game ends, but you can still drive your tank for another 5 to 6 or 7 seconds, and you can still shoot your guns. If you're in the middle of a thing, if you've ever had your guns coming around and you lock them on and the battle ends as your shells are about to strike the enemy, you're going to get just a little bit more time. Now, obviously, that's a slippery slope kind of thing where you could always want another 5 to 6 seconds, but I actually like this change. I think it's going to be kind of interesting. During this added time, players will be able to perform actions that will not affect the outcome of the battle, but can affect your personal result. In other words, if you get damage after the battle is won in this little window of time, you can still get extra damage. You can get a Kraken, you can get fires, or you can cap a point or whatever, which is kind of cool. To celebrate U.S. Independence Day, the following content has been added to the game. Wings of Liberty containers. These are not about StarCraft as much as some of us might want them to be. They've got a couple of camouflages, one for Halford here that looks like it's like a, it's called Thunderbird. It's made of crystal, kind of. And then we've got this risen from the ashes like a phoenix, basically, for the West Virginia. These are a bit much for me, but you know there's somebody out there who's just like salivating, can't wait to get their hands on these little camos. Can't wait to get their little mitts on them. The Wings of Liberty containers have ships in them, which is pretty cool. They've got some bonuses, they've got some camouflages, whatever. But they've also got some ships. Now, it says if you already have all the items from the ships group, you'll receive 3,000 free XP, which is not a big reward. Now, that is in the free, the cheaper version of the Wings of Liberty containers. The Wings of Liberty premium containers are a little bit better, a 6% chance to get a ship instead of a 0.6% chance to get a ship. And then you'll get 32,000 free XP if you already have all of the ships. Good ships are in the list too. It's Georgia, it's Halford, it's Rochester, Hornet, Florida, California, Alabama, Saipan, or Kidd. Very few of those ships are on the community doesn't like them list. And I think people are going to be excited about the possibility of a Georgia or a Halford. Certainly, though, I think a lot of those other ships are desirable as well. Dodgy Dingo says, is this available on the Asia server? Yes, all of this content will eventually be available on the Asia server as well. You can check the WoW's Gamer blog, has a countdown timer for when patches go live. I think all of this is about update 12.5. We've got some special commanders that have been added to the game as well. First of all, check out this European commander who is wearing the most intricate and incredible leather jacket I have ever seen in my life. Full stop. There's just a lot going on. There's pockets, there's medals, there's little ropes, there's red velvet on the inside. Not to mention the incredible mustachio this gentleman is wearing. These other captains are great too, don't get me wrong, but that leather jacket is a statement piece, ladies and gentlemen. There's a permanent camouflage coming from Minsk, as well as one for Jager. Jager's camo looks amazing. I actually think this is a really slick looking steampunk style camo. I'd love to see a picture of the front end of it. It looks like an old 1920s, 1930s car. In America, as an American, I would say it looks like an old Model T or something, but a Brit might say it looks like an Austin 7 or something, but it looks like an old-timey car. Next up, we've got the PQ-17 camouflage. Now, you might wonder why this camo is called PQ-17. In real-life history, PQ-17 was an Arctic convoy that was taking Lend-Lease materials from, I think, Britain and and America up to Russia, and it was going up in the north of like Sweden and Norway and all that stuff, I think over to Arkhangelsk, and I'm sure I have pronounced that poorly. If we have anybody who can pronounce that better, please make the choice to not mock me. But that is a very famous convoy that happened. There is an incredible documentary that you can watch on YouTube hosted by Jeremy Clarkson about PQ-17. I think it's called PQ-17, an Arctic convoy disaster, or something to that effect. It's a beautifully done documentary about that convoy and the danger that befell them. They were moving north. The Germans had spotted them, and they were ordered by, I think, British High Command to scatter, and nobody really knew what that meant. And they all these little convoy ships went and sailed in different directions. It follows a few ships that made it all the way and delivered their goods and some of the crazy things they had to do to get there. And it follows some ships that didn't make it as well and became victims of like the Luftwaffe's attacks and things like that. So really, really interesting story. Also, speaking about this camouflage, it's fabulously cool. I like these colors together. These are, you know, I use that teal color kind of on some of my Clyde Plays artwork and on some of my screens and things like that. They've added more detailed textures and things, but I think the most interesting thing that's in this set is, of course, some of these water effects as the water strikes the ship. Yes, whatever. But if we keep rolling down, we have a section here called fauna. Fauna, of course, means animals. And check this out. We've got dolphins. There's another dolphin kind of going all flipper over here. This looks to be a whale shark with some small fish swimming around. And here's another image of the whale shark that we've got right next to what looks like a destroyer here. Anyway, won't spend much more time on this, but definitely recommend if you're interested in the graphical improvements to go check out that article. And now we're coming back to our top story. Tonight's top story, of course, as it often is is about a couple of new ships that are coming to the game. The first is the Spanish cruiser Numancia. This is a tier 8 cruiser, and immediately they start off by saying it is based on the hull of the Emerald class ships. Now, a lot of players have played the Emerald. The Emerald is a tier 5 British light cruiser that has a reputation for blowing up. She has very, very, very light armor, and she is very, very susceptible to battleship fire. The Emerald has really great guns, but a lot of times it's overshadowed by just how powerful or how thin the armor is on that cruiser. Now the Numancia has Numancia. I'm going to go with Numancia. Help me out with this pronunciation if I'm doing it wrong. It is armed with 7 203mm guns. If we look at this picture here, it looks like a 3-barrel turret up front. So I'm going to guess 2 2-barrel turrets out back, or maybe a single 4-barrel. But I think 2 2-barrels would be more typical. We like British style AP, but it doesn't necessarily, I don't know actually if they have improved angles and things. So that is perhaps something that may or may not be called out in here. These guns have a good turning rate for their caliber, not the highest damage per salvo, and a low firing range. The main feature is an alternative firing mode, an activated burst fire that can increase the damage of the AP shells, but decreases the gun accuracy. Boy, that's an interesting combination. So we're going to be looking to see how that affects the way this ship plays. Definitely interested to see how it goes, but that is not the most interesting thing about this ship, if you ask me. Let's come in here to the ship parameters. Yes, there's 34,000 hit points. Okay, she's got 2 2-barrel turrets and 1 triple barrel. Our theory was correct. Only a 14.4 kilometer firing range. But if we come down here, surface detectability is 10.4 kilometers. That is without crew and without upgrade modifiers. If you take 10% off of that twice, you're going to be down in the mid-low 8s for surface detectability if this ship goes from its announcement through test and becomes available without changing the surface detectability. Now, every single time we see a ship like this come out, it seems like Wargaming goes, oh, never mind, we're going to bump it 1.2 kilometers, right? But 10.4 kilometers with 203s and a burst fire mechanic that increases the damage is incredible. I am a little skeptical that we're going to survive testing with Numancia with this particular stealthiness, but if it comes through with that stealthiness, this could be a really, really interesting ship. Brand says better than Tone. Yes, better than Tone. And Tone right now is I think the best cruiser for concealment at tier 8. So if this happens, that's a big deal. Now, when we take a look at the consumables, yep, helmet is right on where I was headed next. There's damage control party, there's hydras and def AA, and there's a fighter. There's no heal, there's no smoke, there's no armor, and frankly, 34,000 hit points is not very many. So that stealth right now, as this cruiser is established, is really, really critical to what we can expect her playstyle is going to be. I think she's going to be tough to play, but I think she could be a lot of fun just based on what I'm reading here. Now, that said, she could be incredibly frustrating to players who are not comfortable staying out of sight until they want to be spotted, or players who get surprised like all of us do from time to time. Let's keep our eye on this ship. I think most people, however, who read this article have not been talking about the cruiser. They've been talking about this tier 10 Italian battleship with, let's be honest, an amazingly cool looking camo. I know it's just gray and black, but that's so rad. And the red barber pole on the bow of this ship looks absolutely cool. And this is, I believe, our first Italian battleship with 457 millimeter guns. She's also got a speed of 35 to 40 knots. And it says here that the ship was the largest ever to be designed for the Italian Navy, which is out of this world. So let's take a look at the ship parameters in here. 80,000 hit points, which, again, I could see them limiting this ship's hit points with a change in the future, because maybe those guns become powerful. She's got 8 457 millimeter guns with a 30-second reload, and they have AP and SAP shells. almost 15k damage with the AP, 14,900, and 16,600 max damage with the SAP shells. 762 meters per second on the AP shells, 757, literally 5 meters per second difference. Seriously, what gives? I don't know that it would be unusable though. 8 shells is, you know, it's not a 6-gun battleship, which I think I'm really excited for. I would have expected them to come out with a 457 millimeter SAP battleship and only give it 6 guns, but this one has 8, so that's pretty slick. The Sigma being 1.8, not particularly amazing, but not the worst we've ever seen either. Look at the secondary armament. Max range is 7.3, so I don't know that that necessarily means people are going to build this for secondaries. That my math is going to be bad right now, but I'm going to guess you could probably push that out to around 10 kilometers, but she's not going to get, I don't think, beyond that. Guys, if I'm wrong, hit me up in chat. Make sure that people know that I can't multiply by small fractions or whatever. She's got damage control party, repair party, and a spider plane. No, she's got a spotter plane or fighter that you can swap for there. So that is really interesting. I think I'm going to pronounce this Ruggiero di Lauria. Ruggiero di Lauria. I don't know if that's correct at all. Looks really cool. It's got some interesting guns. It's got amazing gigantic SAP shells, and I think it just looks like it could be a really fun battleship. This is a tier 10 premium, or in other words, a special ship, right? Tier 10 ships are not premiums, they're special ships. So we'll be looking for how to unlock this ship as soon as Wargaming lets us know. Don't forget about Numancia, which could now be the stealthiest cruiser at tier 8, and with a very interesting mechanic for its guns. So this is an article that only has great looking ships in it, in my opinion, or at least interesting. Maybe the Numancia is not for you, but in that case, maybe the Ruggiero is. So with all of that said, guys, thanks a ton for watching Clyde Plays News. My name is Clyde, and again, I hope you had a great time with us. If you're watching this over on YouTube and you've never been over to the live show on Twitch, come join us at twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive. And hang out with us for the live show. We give out prizes and hang out over there 3 times a week, so we'd love to have you be a part of that. If, of course, Twitch is not your thing and you just want to stay here on YouTube, that is a perfectly fine thing. If you're with me on Twitch right now, we are going to go back and play, let's say, 2 more games of World of Warships, and then we're going to switch over and do some other stuff. But until then, take care of each other, be cool, be nice. Thanks again for watching Clyde Plays News. Share this video with your friends, and we will see you in the next battle, Captains. Peace!
This has been the news on Clyde Plays Live.